the family that's here, and we ask you to watch over the ones that might be traveling or visiting or just can't get out anymore. We ask you to watch over them, and we thank you for your son and his life and the example he left us, the path that he took to bring us to you, and we just thank you for that, and we pray this through his name. Amen. Last week we looked at 1 Samuel chapter 1. Starting in 9 through 20, it talked about Hannah and what she prayed for of getting a son, and she dedicated her son to God. Okay, and then we looked in Matthew 26 and 36 through 42, and it talked about Jesus and his prayer to his Father about the upcoming event that's going to take place. He asked for the cup to be taken away from him. It wasn't, and that was God's will, and it was fulfilled. Okay, so there's two examples of prayers. One was answered, one wasn't. Both of them were to God's will, I would say. Am I right on that, Sam? The Samuel thing, is that?
I don't know a whole lot about. I mean, I do know that he was a Nazarite because he was able to take alcoholic beverages or grape seeds or anything like that for his whole life. He was Nazarite from birth.
Okay.
He and John the Baptist and Samson were the only three Nazarites that I know that were Nazarites from birth.
Okay. So what did Samuel end up doing in his life?
The judge, the last judge of Israel.
Good judge, bad judge?
He was a good judge. Bad kids, but he was a good judge.
Okay. So keep that in mind. I'm hoping this stuff kind of ties together. For this study, I was getting ready. It took a total different direction. And I was on one of those things that looking at something and I had to stop because I had to get back to what I was working on ahead of that. So maybe next week I'll touch on that. I don't know. We'll just see. Edward asked me because not next Wednesday, the following Wednesday, the 26th, we're going to be gone, and he's going to take the class. I wanted to know if he should use my notes or whatever. I said, I don't have any notes, and if you did, you couldn't read them anyway, because I have to take notes, and I have to rewrite it so that I can read it up here. And then there's some places I'm not sure what I wrote down, and so there's lines that were left blank because I wasn't sure what the note had to do with anything at the time. It meant something, but it'll all tie together, hopefully. So tonight we're going to look at righteousness. It talks about, I'm just going to make a comment here. It's doing what is right in the sight of God. In Strong's his was kind of weird. I looked at it, it was 6666 was the number on that one. And the word in there in the Hebrew is the TS, then there's a DAKAN. I don't know what that means or how you pronounce it. And then another place in the Greek, it's page number 1343. It says our conduct in relation to others. So if you take those two and put them together, the righteousness talks about being right with God and then how we deal with other people also. Okay? That's kind of the gist of the thing. And it talks about Bible righteousness. It's having a right standing with God, which include both inner character and outward actions. Any comments on that or any thoughts?
When you have a temptation and you have a thought about it, that's the sin. And the outward manifestation of that thought, that action might be taken from temptation to actually manifesting it in a physical reality, action. They're the same thing. So the sin has come from your inside. And if you can't use the Holy Spirit to battle against it, then you're sinning, right?
Okay? I'm going to just say this again. It's having a right standing with God. That's the righteous part of it, what righteousness means. You're either right with God or not right with God, okay? It goes back to the same thing. There's right, there's wrong, there's hot, there's cold, there's the opposite of everything that deals with it. So either you're right with God or not right with God. If you're right with God, if it's right with God, then that's righteousness. And then it talks about, which includes both an inner character and then how we act on the outside. So what we have on the inside should be the same thing that our actions are. Okay, so if your actions are bad, then your insides, yeah, okay. Quick question, has anybody ever been lost before in a crowd? You ever been in a crowd and felt and been lost? Do you stop and ask somebody for directions, where to go, what's your, the place you're looking for?
If I absolutely can't find it, I try to find it first.
Okay,
I usually do now, but when I was a boy, my parents used to take me to Minnesota State Fair every year since I was about 4 or 5 years old. By the time we were 6 or 7, they'd turn us loose, let's do whatever they wanted, meet at a certain place at a certain time. You get pretty lost. It's a huge place.
okay. I remember as a kid, we went to California to, is that Disney World or Land or whatever, whatever's out, whatever was there. And there was a guy, and I was probably 10, I'm guessing, I'm just trying to think how old I was. So anyway, there was a guy that was gonna levitate this gal. He was down, it was like a auditorium thing, where he's outside seating and the stage was down below. And I'm standing there watching this guy. And as a family, we're all standing there. And I'm watching this, waiting for this thing, this to happen. And all of a sudden I look around and went, my family left me. And so I walked a little bit thinking, I don't know where to go. I don't know which way they went. I didn't know anything. And it wasn't that I was afraid, but I was thinking, I'll just stand right here. They're going to come back, and it's like, if you move, then they can't find you, So I waited and I stood there and I looked over and there was a little trailer, and I thought it was like a vendor trailer or whatever, some steps going to it. And my dad walked up them stairs and went in this little trailer, and I walked, oh, that's where they're at. So I walk over there and he comes out and I'm thinking, hey, and he grabs me and yells at me, where have you been? It's like standing right here, right over there. He goes, we've been looking all over for you. And I said, I didn't move. It's like, I've been here the whole time. So they get on the loudspeaker, he goes back in and they put the 911 search out, whatever it is for lost kid, whatever they call it. And they had one of those for me. And I didn't even know I was lost. I mean, I wasn't lost. I knew where I was, watching this thing, but I didn't know where everybody else went to. So that's my experience of being lost. And I didn't ask anybody. I was just lucky enough to look in the right direction and, kind of found them and stuff. So.
The Minneapolis State Police had a booth there. If you're a lost kid, you're coming to train you in there and they give you an ice cream cone. So we got lost several times.
Really? Using the system, were you?
So you kind of comparing your lost incident with people in the world who don't know they're lost?
That's not what the class is about, but that'd be a good class though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I'm starting these questions are hopefully to bring us to a point of, I didn't ask somebody where I should go, what I should do or whatever. Hopefully in this, we'll see this, that if you ask the wrong people questions, they might lead you in the wrong direction. Okay? Does that help?
Yeah.
That was good. That was a good example. I mean, I'm just that's why this one was a tough one to get ready, because it went all kinds of different. That's that road, Russ. it was supposed to be a path, but I think it's more of a road that we're on. And there's a road that we're on and we left somewhere and we're on this road going someplace, okay? That's the way our life is, all right? And along the way, we meet people, we experience things for good or bad, whatever your choices are along with that, so. Where do you get, this is a time to answer questions now. This is an answer time. Where do you get your directions for your daily walk?
Oh, God. When I get my phone, I ask them to keep me safe throughout my day,
Okay,
my journey. First thing I do is pray about it. Make sure I'm ready for what I'm going to be doing, it's going to be safe and sound.
did you raise your hand, Sandy, or just, oh, I just seen you out of the corner of my eye, so.
Well, we do get a direction from God, but he answers us through the Bible.
Okay,
He doesn't talk to us directly anymore. He answers us through the Bible, so ask your questions, you read your Bible, and you figure out what he's trying to tell you.
so if you're walking along and you're looking this way and you're supposed to be looking that way, you don't have anybody that turns your head and
No.
physically gives you the right path to take.
God will set something in your way that will catch your eye on that direction you're supposed to go.
Okay,
You better figure out what it is.
okay. Has anybody else ever been in a situation where people are talking, whatever's going on and stuff, and something hits your mind like you want to say it, and you think, maybe I shouldn't say this? Or is that just me? Hi.
Like usually I say it, and then I think, oh, why did I say that? It's almost like, was that the Holy Spirit? No. Just saying.
It
Okay,
happens to me all the time.
okay,
So, when somebody who's got an opinion doesn't necessarily mean it's smart or, you know, it's appropriate. Tam's told me countless times, it's not appropriate for you to say this. And so I'm thinking, well, maybe it's okay that someone who's inappropriately commenting with their opinion has something to say that might make a thought come into someone's head that could be a thought that evangelizes. I don't know if that it is appropriate, but the point I would like to ask you is, if one of the senior members of our congregation has something to tell you, and you know, it's like could hurt your feelings or could be sensitive, and you know, whatever, and I guess if you're doing something inappropriate, right, and you get a person who's trying to show you how to do it right, and the person doesn't know that they're being inappropriate or being wrong, doing things sinfully, and it just goes over their head. Like today, I had a conversation with one of the elders, and it was like, you know, it's grave to me. Some things are just unclear. We were talking about something that we've gone over and over and over and over again about the replacement theory. Okay, what's that mean? When the Jews are replaced, the promises to the Jew, God's promises were replaced by the promises that came with Christianity and Christ on the cross, and that replaced the old law and all that stuff. And I'm thinking, well, you know, this Bible scholars that are saying, you know, we should protect the Jews, and we should go for the, you know, make sure that this special relationship between God and the Jews is not replaced. by Christianity completely. But it made me think, you know what? Let's just go black and white. Let's just go simple. If God gave, through Jesus and the cross, gave us all nations who believe in Christ and who have faith in God, the covenant that we will be saved, then if somebody doesn't do that, including the Jews, if they don't do that, they don't get salvation in paradise. But I don't get it. How can the Jews be left out in the cold?
I got a simple answer for that. And I wish I could have the memory to remember what the verses and stuff were, but it deals with where God doesn't show partiality. Man and woman are the same in his sight, okay? So there's no favoritism. When he took his son and put him on the cross, he died for everybody, not for the men, not for the women, not for the Jews, not for any group or any other thing. It's the whole wide world. And from that point on, if they make the decision to follow his son, then I want to say they're in, but they're in, okay? Does that make it simple?
It does.
That gets back to there is no gray stuff. And I listen to the radio and I feel bad for that whole deal because, you know, it's got to be a rough way to try to raise a family, you know, getting rockets shot at you and war going on and all that stuff, you know. And some people over there, they don't know anything else. And we don't know what it's like. So we're kind of in the same boat of not knowing one thing or the other. But if that helps your question, forget about the gray stuff, because there is no gray. It's either right or wrong, right? Okay. And as far as saying the wrong thing at the wrong time or whatever, if you could think, is this going to benefit the person you're talking to, then say it. And if it doesn't, and if you don't feel it's right, then don't say it. You know, I'm talking to myself on that. So, okay. Is this?
Colossians 3:28. There is neither Jew nor
Yep.
Greek, there is neither slave nor free, neither male nor female, for all one in Christ. It talks about there is no Christian here.
Yep. Yes, Sam.
God does not set aside the Jews and say, you can't be in. He also doesn't do that with anybody else.
Right.
Everybody is the same. I mean, everybody's the same. People who say, we had to have a special relationship with the Jews. No, God doesn't have a special relationship with the Jews or the Gentiles or the Russians or the Germans or the French. He has a special relationship with people who obey his son. That's it.
Well, he has a special relationship with everybody, but it depends whether you're on the good side of it. The good relationship, I guess. So, okay, moving right along here. 2 John, chapter 1.
3 John 1?
2 John, I'm sorry. Second John chapter 1, verse 6, or verse 4, I'm sorry. You turn too many pages, you can get way off. Yeah, chapter 1. Verse 4 through 6. It has given me great joy to find some of your children walking in the truth, just as the Father commanded us. And now, dear lady, I am not writing you a new command, but one we have had from the beginning. I ask that we love one another. And this is love, that we walk in obedience to his commands. As you heard from the beginning, his command is that you walk in love. Verse 6, what's the command? Okay? So your daily walk, what should be included in that?
Commandments of Jesus.
Okay? Are there a lot of commandments?
With Jesus, there are not very many. In fact, there are groups of people that say there are no laws anymore except do what Jesus says. That's it.
So there's a difference between the Old Testament law and then the commands that Jesus,
I think it's 666. We were told in the New Testament, you disobey any of them, the least of the commandments, you disobey all of them.
either in or out, right? Okay. John chapter 14. Verse 18 through 21.
Oh, what?
John chapter 14, verse 18 through 21. I will not leave you as orphans, I will come to you. Before the long, the world will not see me anymore, but you will see me, because I live, and you also will live. On that day, you will recognize me, that I am in my Father, and you are in me, and I am in you. Whoever has my commands and obeys them, he is the one who loves me. He who loves me will be loved by my Father, and I too will love him and show myself to him. I'm sorry. What are we expected to do?
Act like Jesus. Think like Jesus.
Be obedient.
Okay? To his commands. Okay? So it's kind of painting a picture. Maybe we should know what those commands are if we're supposed to be following them. But they're pretty simple. There's not a lot of them, so.
You walk, talk, and act like Jesus, you probably could have got wrong.
Okay? Got them in the same, you're in the boat?
Yeah. You walk, talk, and act like Jesus, how can you go wrong?
Got that right.
All the commandments are right there, you walk, talk, and act.
Okay. 1 John chapter 2. Should have just read that one while we're there. Chapter 2, verse 3 through 6. Chapter 2, verse 3 through 6. We know that we have come to know him if we obey his commands. The man who says, I know him, but does not do what he commands is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But if anybody obeys his word, God's love is made truly complete in him. This is how we know we are in him. Whoever claims to live in him must walk as Jesus did. Back to that road thing, to the path. Pretty simple so far, isn't it? Huh?
So far, you made it complex?
Nope, trying not to.
So simplicity is, on many of us, including me, is not everything that he has commanded. Spreading the good news is where it trips me up sometimes. How much can I do? And am I doing enough? Trips me up sometimes.
How much do you think you should be doing?
More.
We're all agreeing with that.
Yeah, Gilbert should be doing more.
Yep.
When you say
When it comes to Jesus, you can never do enough. Made no limitations to Jesus.
What is it? What is it, David? I was thinking what you get 13, 14 Bible studies a week, you know, and tell the guy at the grocery store, you know, what's the number we're shooting for? I don't, there is no number. We can never do enough. If you're thinking you need to do more because you don't feel like you're doing enough, then you do need to do more. But there's going to be people you come across every day, or not every day, but in your journeys of your day that I'm not going to come across. Okay? Is that fair to say, David? There's people in Traer that you're going to come across that I probably won't ever come across. And there's some people in Traer that I come across that you might not come across because I work with some of them, or one of them anyway. I used to work with a couple of them, but. So what are we supposed to do in that situation? And need to take advantage of that's your opportunity, okay? And I don't think these meetings that we have are by chance. Yes, sir.
I think our biggest failing is we don't look for opportunities to set up studies and to conduct studies. We just don't look for them. And if we start praying to see them, we might see a lot more.
Are you looking for a number of study? Is there some number in your head you're looking for?
I'm looking to have studies.
Okay. Is one,
I have one, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad to brag about it. I'm glad to stand up and say, oh, we had 17 studies this week. How you doing?
well, you should have had 18, Sam. You're loafing, so. You have to start with one, right? And if you don't start with the one, then I'm thinking you're probably not doing enough. If there's a number to shoot for, one would be the one. I don't mean to be mean or rude
Some
or,
would be the start.
You summed it up right there. Start with one. You can't start with 5. If you ain't gotta get 4, or 8 high, you gotta get, you know, can't do 1.
well, you could get a family of 5. Mom, dad, and 3 kids. There's your 5, but
It's one study.
yeah.
God didn't give us a spirit of timidity.
Yeah. This isn't what I was going to, but that's a good side thing. Are we alone? Are we ever alone?
Not unless we want to be. You have to abandon God to be alone.
Okay. So where do you turn for your protection and your comfort at? As we read in Psalms, there's a lot of that question going on and a lot of answers to that question. Where do you feel like, where are you at? Where do you feel protected and get comfort?
Well, we get it from the Lord. Should, you know, be able to go talk to him. All your woes, give him the thank yous that's happened in your life, and, you know, just gotta be open to God. He'll be there.
If
It's
you-
like, oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
It's like when I went into surgery for my heart, and I just, before I got to the swinging operating doors, and all the lights were on and everything, all that equipment, giving it to you, God. He did. He just, I hardly had the pain of other people I
I thought you did really well. I mean, I was,
have. Yeah. Give it to the Lord. And if it doesn't happen, you're still. You're doing it.
Psalms 23. We know this one probably without looking, but I want to pick out a couple little things out of it. I'm just going to do the first 4 verses. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside quiet waters, restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness For his name's sake, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Where are they getting their comfort from? Not who, but it talks about a rod and a staff. What is that?
Discipline when you're doing stupid things or sinful things. And your staff, like what they gave to Keith when he was looking at all the lights and heading into surgery. He just supports you. He lifts you up, builds you up, keeps you healthy.
Okay,
This is a song about a shepherd, and shepherd's rod and staff basically was their crook. If a sheep fell somewhere, and you could reach around with your crook them and pull them up. And if you needed to walk with some help, that staff was what you supported with.
yep,
That's what he's talking about here. God has become the hook that will bring him back if he lets him, and it's the staff that he can lean on when he's feeling weak.
okay. I have here the rod is an instrument of authority used by shepherds for counting, count their sheep,
Yep.
for guidance and rescuing. That hook thing, you know, if you got a straight stick and you hand somebody, they can maybe hang on, but that, if it's got a hook on the end of it, you know, either you're pulling with it or the other guy's hanging on to it, you get a lot more pullage. Is that a term? Is that a word, pullage? So, and it's used for protecting, and then the staff is called an instrument of support. You see people with walking sticks. We have one in our garage because my wife found a stick, and yeah. And they're usually straight, and I don't know why they're so tall, but I see people walking with them and they're tall sticks. They're not a cane, they're just
Well, his is short. It's got a hook.
but it's adjustable, so. And it's got the hook on the end to get,
I don't know why they would have them so tall. I don't think they all work, but I think a lot of times they are. And a lot of times, if a person's using one like I use the cane for, they'll have a spot that they have built up with cord or wrap or something or another where they would want their hand. So it gives them the best support.
okay. Let's see. Psalms 14. Or excuse me, Psalms 143. I read that wrong.
114?
143, I'm sorry. I hope that is right. Psalms 143, it'd be 1 through 12, talks about directions and safety. O Lord, hear my prayer, listen to me cry for mercy and the righteousness or faithfulness and righteousness. Come to my relief, do not bring your servant into judgment, and do not, oh boy, if this is the right one. That is not correct. Let me look at Psalms 14. I'm sorry, let's just, there's a good one in there if you want to read all the Psalms. There's one that talks about direction and safety. I'm sorry, maybe on this yellow sheet I can read what it was. Nope.
I stretch out my hand to you. So does you.
You'll find it when you're least looking for it.
I got 143 here. Verse 10, what's,
Each man your will, for you are my God.
I'm sorry, that wasn't the right one, so. We're gonna move to, this is kind of a change of course here. David plants gardens with the help of his wife, or his wife plants garden with the help of her husband. You buy bean seeds, okay, and you expect beans to come up, correct? Have you ever had a pack of seeds? One that's a good one you buy, we do the Burpee seed packets, and it's bush beans, not the viney, stringy one. Every once in a while, you'll plant them and you'll get, I call them the nasty beans that like to spread all through the garden for whatever. They're just like a pulled bean is what they're supposed to be. But you plant them in the ground and they're kind of a mess and they really don't produce a whole lot. So that's not what you intended to grow, was it? Was a climbing plant in a flat garden. So have you ever planted something that was totally, you planted and it come out totally different? Put a tomato seed in the ground, you're gonna get what? Tomato, okay? Gilbert's got an apple tree.
We did.
No, he still hasn't, he's still got an apple tree, it's still there making, it makes shade, it's still there, but it's gonna be apples, right? On an apple tree. The only one I know that's different is the oak tree. It does acorns, so you think it'd be an acorn tree. That's the second grader in me thinking, I can't figure out why they're called acorns if they're,
It's an old baby tree.
is it? I had a friend that had some land behind North Cedar School, and he planted some new apple trees. And something to do with how deep you plant them, the bulb and up and down the size of the tree and all that. I don't remember how the saying was, but he planted them one weekend and then he went about work and he went back the next weekend to check on to water his trees and stuff. And there was oranges on there and there was bananas on his tree. And somebody went along and put a string on there and planted everything, put everything on there except for apples as a joke. So his apple trees are going to produce apples. That was just a joke by somebody.
You know, they do sell some trees that will supply 6 or 8 different fruits on it. By grafting, if you take an apple tree and you graft a pear branch on it, that branch will produce pears.
That-
Most of it, then
But it doesn't grow from a seed though.
No, it does not.
Okay. Our neighbor lady has a tree it's like a maple tree, but goes up and it's got 2 different colored leaves on it. I don't know what that is, but it's some kind of maybe Vicky knows more about those than I've never.
I love the fruit. But it was growing in a bush. And I took it out and put it in a pot. It's growing now in my yard, it's getting bigger. But it's 2 different kinds of maples.
If you get to my house and look right across the street next to Randy's, the gal in the corner, lady in the corner, it's the tree right there across the street from us. It's different colors. And then when they turn this time of year, it's bald on one side and the other one still has leaves on it. So, yep. I don't know. Yeah, maybe that'd be your assignment for next week to tell us how that happens. But I think it's interesting. I mean, I don't know what it. Let's turn to Matthew 7 and talk about fruit while we're keep going on fruit here. Get off the tree thing. 7 verse 15, watch out for false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves. By their fruit you will recognize them. Do people pick grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? Likewise, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus, by the fruit, you will recognize them. It's talking about people that were saying they were from God and doing what God wanted them to do, but they were not teaching the right things, okay? So what kind of fruit do you produce, Russ? Good fruit?
Get him to
I just asked the question.
I'm the budget side of it.
Good fruit would be Russell's children, his friends, people who he has influence on at church or wherever. But his family has the direct fruit. Him and Vicky have a family tree that they started together, and they have good fruit. I'm thinking that everybody is.
We're still working on that. On our kids.
But then again, you know, Russ and Vicky as parents may have good fruit. They might have done everything they could possibly have done with their, you know, to instill faith, to train the children. And every individual who has, you know, good parents, faithful parents, good teachers, they also have a will of their own. I mean, you can't always, although in the Bible it says if you try and train them correctly in the word, they will remember you in their later years when they become parents.
It's in there.
Not always the case though.
Hasn't got to later years for us either, so, no. If I went to your work, to the post office days, and I walked in the door and asked for a character reference about Dave Engel, what would I get? Because I remember Glenn, we had a discussion one time. It was a subject about elders and the way they're supposed to, how you'd know if a person was a good elder, the way, you know, the way they interact with different things. And I just made the comment, a guy should go to a guy's work and ask him there. Because you spend most of your day at work. I mean, with people, everyday stuff.
They would say the hard working 40.
Well, I'm just saying that's stuff you run across every day is how you react and how your work ethic is. Do you sit for 20 minutes on a 15-minute break? Do you show up 5 minutes late for work? Do you go home 5 minutes early? Or are you there 15 minutes early and start right away, or stay another 10 minutes and don't expect anything for it? You know, I mean, or some guys are monkeying around, and how do you handle those guys? And, you know, so I think if a work thing was involved, that deals with your character, and that's another part of the fruit thing. So, do you remember your days working, Keith? I know it's been a long time ago. Tough days sometimes, wasn't it?
The only time I ever took long breaks was when I lost that. I get 20 minutes to an hour.
Well, that's those Missourian guys that have them long breaks, so.
No, but you're right. You know, we spend almost a third of our life at work. It would be a good place to go. I'm good for this guy.
I had a kid make a comment about me one time, not too long ago, that there was some function at work or whatever. My wife was there, and I met his wife. The whole thing went along, and it was kind of a cookout thing or whatever, and people were all around and stuff. And he just said, you know, something about, you know, your husband's never yelled at me. And I thought, why would I yell at him? Yelling doesn't do any good. I mean, I have a kid now that is on the phone all the time, and I'm trying to think how to deal with it without taking it, throwing it across the parking lot. Because that's how one guy yelled with another guy's phone, and they don't land well. I'm just going to tell you, the asphalt parking lot, that wasn't the right way to handle it. But on the other hand, it did make a point. You know, it was a safety issue. He was running a piece of equipment, wasn't paying attention. You know, someone's going to get hurt, or least of all, something's going to get wrecked. You know, something's going to get dropped or ran over or whatever it was, but not the right way to handle it. So I'm working on that. And I almost said something today, but I thought, that's not gonna build him up or make him any better for that. So the thought was in my head what I was gonna say, so I thought that's not, don't say it. So I just kind of walked away.
I had a parable told, a story was told to me recently when I was driving while I was texting, or texting while I was driving. And it was a story that had my heart right here, and it has made a difference. It was very gentle and fruitful.
Was the person riding with you said, I'm gonna throw that out the window if you don't put it down?
No, better than that, they told a story that made me change my behavior.
Okay. Let's finish Galatians 5. One through 6, chapter 5.
Verse 6,
I'm sorry, 1 through 6.
verse 1 through 6.
Yeah. It is for freedom that Christ set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. Mark my words, I, Paul, tell you that if you let yourselves be circumcised, Christ will be of no value to you at all. Again, I declare that every man who lets himself be circumcised, that he is obligated to obey the whole law. You who are trying to be justified by law have been alienated from Christ. You have fallen away from grace, but by faith we eagerly await through the Spirit the righteousness for which we hope. For in Christ Jesus, neither circumcised nor uncircumcised has any value. The only thing that counts is faith expressing itself through love. There's that word love again. And if you look up in verse 5, it says, by faith we eagerly await through the Spirit the righteousness for which we hope. Any thoughts on that? I know the answer to that, and it's not fair for me to ask that question because it's like the first time you looked at it real quick here. What do you think what that is talking about? It deals with righteousness, so
Let me make one comment about that.
sure.
The word hope in the Bible is not the same as the word hope on,
The word what?
hope
Yeah,
is not the same as the word hope in the normal daily English language.
correct.
The word hope was an absolute confident expectation of something that was going to happen. Nowadays, people say, I hope I win the lottery, I hope I don't have an accident, I hope I get a nice car, blah, blah, blah. That's just an empty guess, it's a wish. They're not the same.
Okay. Sam found the word, Sam was baptized, Sam believes that he's going to heaven. Is that hope?
That is absolutely hope.
Okay. Thank you for pointing that out.
Hope and faith are much more closely linked in the Bible than they are.
Yes. Yes. Did everybody hear that? That faith and hope are pretty much the same?
Very similar.
Not exactly the same, but can be replaced in certain times. I'm going to finish this up real quick. It says righteousness, and it's for which we hope, and that's what he was talking about. I think it's talking about God's going to judge us, and there's going to be a verdict for each one of us. And we hope for the righteousness, and the righteousness is we're right with God, so the verdict would be what? Not guilty. Okay? Is that?
Yes.
My wife says I say this all the time. Does that sound fair? I mean, does everybody, do you see that, Dave? Okay, you were looking and I don't, if it's wrong, say it, everybody, because we don't want to go home and have, I get home, my wife goes, you know what you said, don't you? That was, I hope that she doesn't find any errors in what I'm saying, so. Yeah. In Matthew 3, I'm not gonna read that, but that's the whole chapter. It says all righteousness requirements are met. Jesus' baptism indicated that he was consecrated to God, officially approved by him. And the coming down of the Holy Spirit on him, and then the voice from the Father, and it says, this is my Son who I'm well pleased. Who has righteousness perfectly? Okay. So if we would like to have that same righteousness, we should do what he did, walk the roads that he walked on, treat people the way he treated them, love each other. Okay. So which path are you going to take?
Narrow path.
It talks about a narrow path. There's not going to be. So I think we start out, I was looking at this, I think we start out on a road. And as you come to each one of those, I don't want to say intersections, but choices, you might make the wrong choice, end up on the wrong road, and you come to another spot and it gets you back on the place that you're supposed to be going. And every time you come to that corner or that bend or a fork in the road, it gets a little bit easier, but it gets skinnier, okay? Any questions? I like you guys for not asking questions. No, I'm just kidding.
I was telling Gil today, God breaks it down, it goes up, to make it stronger. When I walk with him.
I just wrote this down here from some of the, looking at this stuff. It says, no matter what we hope, no matter what we hope, what we dream, how careful we are, the bottom line is what we sow is what we harvest. Okay. They're all yours. Thank you.